Hi, Puri-chan, Solitaire-chan, and Paru-chan. How you guys doing? I think so. Music. Hmm. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, slowly. Getting more powerful. So have you started Mechwarrior 5 yet? Solitaire-chan. I'm quite surprised you haven't played it. pew. Pew pew. Huh? You can't get further. Yeah, the controls is not much difference from any FPS game. Hmm. Hello, Kisato-chan. How are you doing? I'm not used to FPS on keypads. Okay. That explains it. No, it doesn't. I'm doing okay, Sato-chan. Thank you for asking. Oh. Excited to get back to work. You're a workaholic. Why will you be excited going back to work? Yeah. I'm a busybody.
It's not a game, I'm not a robot, and I challenge you. I'm not a phantom, I'm in your face and I'm here to see it through. Right before your eyes, words just multiply. Got the flame right, it's time.
I'm glad that you're always doing something. Okay. Guess I'm the lazy type. I don't usually like to be doing something. I like to be playing games. That's about it.
So you know that we out there.
For me, time always moves pretty slow when I'm working. But playing games is different. What do you mean monosomy? You never did finish Persona 5.
Ain't it a shame? I'm not a big man of your Illinois mind. I'm just as fearless, I'm just as dangerous as you, so know you're fine. Days of your man, fire in every breath, fire inside your head, your heart. And as a grateful friend, try to fight in vain. Your empire will fall apart. And you know we were out there.
You still appears for before you
Life
guys
will
finish
not make it.
Persona 5.
Going hard for the taking. You're
Oh, that's sad.
life for change. And our voices ring out,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I would recommend you playing Persona Royal.
It out there, not that free. Now we know that life will change.
I platinum Persona Royal. Yeah, the new Pokemon release kind of give me the normal vibe. Let's see, it's really normal. I don't like it. Yeah. Yeah, but Persona 5 Royals Platinum comes naturally. I don't have to do anything. At least I don't think I did anything different. I just started playing the game again. Hmm. Since Red Hisato-chan. That's really long time ago, isn't it? Since Red. But that's true for me as well. I haven't touched any Pokemon games since. What does Game Boy Advance have? There's Pokemon. But it was that since then. Okay, Kisato-chan. Hmm?
Try and dodge this.
Epic 7's going great.
Those in our way.
I'm just farming.
Fear. I won't fall.
Grant me strength. Shall we get moving?
Leave it to me.
Here we go. Kind of tired.
Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I'll make you kneel before me.
Thanks for the heart side, very John.
This is it.
I'll begin.
Let me assist.
What are you doing?
Can you even reach me?
I trust you. Don't worry.
Give all that you have for the glory of Harlan. The time has come.
Thanks for the feedback, Disciple Channel.
By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Feel like it's never fun.
I won't fall.
Yeah, that's true.
What should I do?
Hi, Vic-chan. How are you?
Wait.
Pretty much. Because I'm just checking right now. The main game will be Mechwarrior.
Destruction and fear. I'll make you kneel before me.
Where I need most of my concentration.
You're not half bad.
Epic 7 is just a game that plays itself most of the time.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started.
This is it.
Shall we get moving? Goddess.
Sure. Okay, Kisato's not. It's always a good idea to run to the stores to grab some snacks. Especially if you are watching my video.
I was born to be a Jew. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Cut you down.
The time has come.
Get a good look at these fists. Fatal strike.
Oh.
Come on, move.
I'll knock you into next week.
Thanks for the sub, Bitchan. Thanks for supporting me. Huh? Thanks for the gift sub to Saluchan. Thanks for supporting me. Cool. Oh, eat lunch.
A lion never
I
grows.
don't get lunch.
No matter how small its prey.
Command Motor Seal 9. Liking me. So close. Okay, the Saluchan.
For the glory of Poland! I'll make you kneel before me.
Did you really think?
This is it.
This way.
There's always a time where more people need to know how, huh? Well, the thing about Twitch is there's just too many people. And not everyone enjoys my style of streaming.
Are those in our way. Bring destruction and fear! Focus.
Oh,
I won't fall.
and not everyone enjoys my voice, I guess.
The time has come.
This is getting exciting. We're not half bad.
That is true, right? It's sad but true.
Not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I'll make you kneel before me.
Some people prefer a high energy crazy person. You like a balance, but cute swing and more your speed. I see, I see.
I won't fall.
Yeah, I'm not the crazy type of person.
Focus.
Hmm?
Goddess. I was born to be a hero.
Ah,
By my destiny, I will cut you down.
great.
Evil shall be punished. Divine extermination.
Pew pew pew.
The time has come.
Don't worry.
Bye. Hmm. Oh? No more energy. Hmm. Let's try this. Done. Done. Okay. I've already done the hammers. Yep. Yeah, I've already done the hammers. No more energy. Let's go. Listen, Mechwarrior. You want to join? Yeah, I have leaves, but I'm not using them. Not now. I'm waiting for when there's a bonus. Oh, no. Not this time. You need to get past the last mission before you can join multiplayer. Oh, okay. Target house curator. Visibility poor. Destroy hidden depot. Okay, let's go.
Heavy weather warning. It's going to affect visibility and sensors.
We eat this. Okay. Everything seems good. Mm-mm. Ready. Okay, next time then.
Attention. Prepare for battle mech departure. Hangar doors open. Stand clear.
Online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Our target is an industrial complex marked on your tactical display. Our employer wants it gone, and we aim to please. Light that complex up like a New Year's celebration, Commander.
Hmm.
Unidentified battle mechs. You are entering a restricted area. Depart immediately or hold open fire.
Target identified. Bring it down. Leave nothing left for them to salvage.
New target Shadowhawk.
Good start, Commander. I'm showing major damage to the target facilities. They've managed to demolish about half of the target's buildings. Crack on, Commander. You're almost there, Commander. Only 25% of this area remains.
Target destroyed.
That's it, Commander. You've completely destroyed this area. Great work. Best get to the evac point now, before more reinforcements arrive.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
Add one more to my kill count.
Target acquired. New target Panther. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Target is down.
Hmm.
Happy you made it out of there alive, Commander. Stand by for pickup.
Yay, complete. I mean, music will be better. Yeah, it was nice. Hmm. Hmm. Damage. Is it pay? Hmm. Let's fire.
let you test your luck. Come back soon.
Hi, Akin-chan. How are you? Yeah. Hello, hello. There was a bit of lag. There was a bit of lag. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Summit. House deep now. Independence. Cool. Travel. I like the hyper jump. I mean the space hyper jump. Yeah, hyper jump. Alright. Contract. Nice.
Heads up, Commander.
Go.
Weather conditions in the area will restrict visibility and have an effect on your sensors.
Me? Hang on. I want to repair. Oh, okay. Repair mech. Angel. Angel. Save as custom. Eh? Apply all. Okay. Ready. Wait. Oh. Well, let's get ready. Mm,
We have been contracted
Oh,
to relieve
that's
our
okay.
forces at Nav Point Alpha. Move
Yeah,
in
I might
and
play
establish a perimeter around the checkpoint.
as well. Hmm. Yeah. I like my purpose.
Looks like we made it here just in time, Commander.
Right? Right?
Nothing on scopes at the moment, but don't get comfortable. Hostiles have been reported in the area.
Target acquired.
Pew pew pew.
Hostiles detected. Ground armor spotted.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Right?
Hello, Commander. Our mutual employer has dispatched me here to oversee your work and initiate payment upon successful completion of your duties. I'll be tracking the situation closely. Best of luck.
Enemy mech forces spotted operating in the area. Watch out for them.
Huh? Red Max.
Target acquired.
Tangos appear to be bringing in additional reinforcements. Brace yourselves.
Got another one.
Boom.
New target.
Enemy contacts closing on the complex. Time to earn your pay, Commander.
Kill confirmed. I knew I'd take down that mech.
Hmm?
Target acquired.
Gonna suck it down. Wasn't even worth celebrating. It was so easy.
Target acquired.
Excuse me. Bye bye.
Watch out, that mech is going critical.
Target acquired.
More hostiles entering the combat zone's perimeter. Brace for additional contacts.
New target locust.
Enemy mech eliminated.
Bye bye.
Target acquired.
Pew pew pew. Hmm?
Tango eliminated.
Bye bye. Pew pew pew.
Enemy mech destroyed.
Bye bye.
Well done, Commander. The area is secure.
Easy. Let's see. They can stop me. Jenna. Oh, I see. Mm, let's take. So many jump jets. Let's take this. And this. LRM ammo. SRM ammo. Okay. Skill level up. Nice. Hmm. Targeting independence. No. Um. Independence against House Davion. Huh. No. Let's do this. House Davion against independence. No. House Kurita against House Davion. No. Alliance against Kurita. of Stepion against Outer World Alliance. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the hangar. Repair. Destroyed. Machine gun was destroyed. Oh. That. Contracts. Contains multiple mission. Oh. Let's look at something else. No more. No more. Travel. At least it was only a machine gun. The transmission. Nearby system has been caught. Wait, of the Black Inferno. Oh, okay. Except Village Chamber against House Kurita. Nice. Nice. Except Locust. Oh, the assassin is still not ready. Okay. Ready. Yeah, that's true. I still haven't seen a ghost rifle yet.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
We've been contracted to destroy a number of tactical objectives in enemy territory. Be aware, we're only being paid for the elimination of the targets. So try not to stick around and tangle with the defenders for too long, or you'll never hear the end of it from Fard.
Okay.
acquired.
Got another one.
Hmm?
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Good work, Commander. That's one less target.
Okay. Let's continue on. Um,
Regular squad taking heavy damage. I've lost firepower. I have to eject.
Nearly there, Commander. Approach the hidden object to pick it up.
Holding at location. At requested location. Moving to your
Come
six,
on.
Commander.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Yeah!
Target urban map.
bye.
Target acquired.
Scratch that target off the list. Additional forces are being deployed near you.
Firing capabilities. Beginning ejection procedure.
I got it!
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Oops.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Critical. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Target destroyed. All objectives destroyed. We are inbound on marked evac point. Get here as quickly as you can, Commander.
Let's go. Let's go.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target destroyed.
warriors arrive.
Get me more citizens. Start a rumor? How do you start a rumor? Oh, PC. Open Mac. Myself pick it and sell it. I have many things. I guess I can take more. Okay. And laser. Continue. Pin. Continue. Black market. Oh. Let's buy this. Machine guns. Small laser. Ooh, SRM6. What's ST? Stream? Okay, bye. It's half ammo. Oh. Buy two. Buy two. Jump jet. Machine gun ammo. Okay. Let's go to hangar. Prepare. Okay. No, I always forgot to do this. Hmm. Hi, Melva-chan. I have my own call sign. Ready? Uh, hmm. Hmm. Load up. Medium laser. Hmm? Yes, RM2. LRM5. Okay. Hmm. Jump jets. Hmm. Subjects. PC. Me? Oh. Okay. Start what? AC10. Medium laser. LRM. Okay. Start what? Load out. SR info. Okay. Load out. Machine gun. Okay. Ready? Oh? Oh. Oh. Hmm. Da. Okay. Ready. Ready. Huh? What? Sorry.
Attention. Prepare for battle mech departure.
Yeah, the game is great. It's fun.
Doors open. Stand clear.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
We have friendlies under assault from hostile forces. Link up with them.
Let's
and hold
go.
the enemy advance as long as possible. Be sure not to overextend yourself, Commander. Eventually, you will need to fall back to the evac point.
Contact
Pew
battle
pew
mech.
pew. Pew.
Target eliminated.
Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew.
Such a scum of brutes, they damaged my mech.
Kill the mech!
Destroyed.
Stay sharp, Mechwarriors.
Hey,
Allied
bye
command
bye.
reports enemy movement is projected to hit your location at any moment. Time to earn our pay.
Target acquired.
Hmm?
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Enemy mech forces spotted operating in the area. Watch out for them.
Target acquired. Target
Bye
destroyed.
bye.
Target destroyed.
Target acquired.
Scopes are lighting up with additional bogies, Commander.
New target assassin.
Target down!
Incoming missile. Critical.
Losing critical mech brutes.
Incoming missile.
Hmm?
Target destroyed.
Bye bye.
Additional bogies setting an intercept course on your position.
Critical.
Enemy mech destroyed!
long as you like. We're on standby to pick you up when you're ready for evac.
Mm.
Target acquired.
Target is down.
Destroyed. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Add one more to my kill count.
Let's go.
Mission success, Commander. Time to get out of here.
My only threat war. Eh? Ooh. Mm. Maybe later. Let's take this. Take this. Take more of this. I don't really use jump jets when I have too many. Take this. Let's take some of this. Let's take one SRS. And take one more LRF. Continue. Oh, speak to Rihanna. Hey, hang on. Let me repair the maps. Repair. Oh. Need machine gun again. 실드리아는
New contract just came in, Commander. But before I get to that, I've been digging for more information on the mercenary group that came after us. Black Inferno are a very nasty piece of work. Not that we didn't already know that. By every account, they operate without regard to civilian rights and protection, raiding and pillaging at will, more like pirates than mercenaries. They're also extremely evasive. I see them pop up on the Mercenary Review Board's records from time to time, but not with enough frequency to justify their size, wealth, or sheer power. It also makes tracking their movements extremely difficult. I'll keep searching and see what more I can find. Spears said he'll do the same.
Good. We all want our pound of flesh from these bastards. So, what about this new contract?
Yeah, could be interesting. Seems a group of indentured employees, part of the Apex Mining Syndicate, are being taken advantage of and are suffering under horrendous working conditions. In an attempt to force the Syndicate to the bargaining table, the workers want us to inflict some serious damage on two of the Syndicate's more critical mining installations. They believe the only language these people understand is the almighty Seabill. It's hard to argue with that logic.
Sounds like a noble cause.
Maybe, but they're ready and willing to pay for our services, and we could use some more Seabills ourselves. I've filed the mission briefing already. You just need to sign off on the operation and get us where we need to go.
I used to
Copy that.
play Mechwarrior 2 as well. Hello. No, I don't want to go against independence. My cats.
Mind the weather, Commander. It'll compromise your visibility.
online. Weapons online. All
Time to
systems
pew
nominal.
pew.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be a dirty job. Get in there and take out the militia garrison. Doing so should allow us to get the supplies we're so desperate for.
Enemy armor spotted.
Target acquired.
I got it.
Destroyed. Target acquired.
Unidentified mech, you are entering a restricted area. Turn back now or you will be engaged by defensive forces.
Target destroyed.
There's your target objective, Commander. Why don't you go over and introduce yourself?
Got another one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Target acquired.
We've lost the radio tower.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed. New target.
They're operating at reduced efficiency. Keep on smashing.
Emergency generator offline.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired.
You've managed to demolish about half of the target's buildings. Crack on, Commander.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target destroyed. Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
We've lost the warehouse. Storage facility just took a direct hit.
Target destroyed.
Our payday is nearly here, Commander. Just keep smashing.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed. New target Panther.
Target sent to hell.
No.
Target destroyed.
Bye bye.
Add one more to my kill count.
New target, Javelin.
Target down.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Oh, let's go. Pivot point. Huh.
The garrison is down, but... well, I don't think there's enough here. These facilities are pretty bare. We're going to likely need to hit another target.
Target destroyed. Oh, that was really badly injured. Hmm. Repair. Repair. Huh? Wow. Hmm. Let's see. Alright. That's Hello, hello. I'm back. Apparently Mechwarrior 5 is fun, but when I speak, you guys can't hear me. For some reason, I got no idea why. Thanks for the hydrate and position.
What do I sell? Well,
Sorry, Daddy
what do you want
Chan.
to buy? Come back soon.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Anyway, it's fun.
I'll play with you just this once, alright?
I have to say,
Obey if you wish to live.
it doesn't really
Scar those in
play
our
too
way
well
with
with
destruction and fear.
I'll make you
the
kneel
system.
for me.
Happy endings are so boring, don't you think? The strongest.
Seems like my system is not powerful enough. Oh, I can turn down the graphics, I guess.
And we lived happily ever after.
Doesn't like it yet. Hmm. Okay. Hmm?
Give all that you have for the glory of Perlin. Can you even reach me?
Let me make this clear. You're in over your head.
What are you doing?
I won't let you down.
This is it.
All right. I'll begin.
Target confirmed.
Stupid.
I won't fall.
Hey, how's it going, folks? And welcome to Found Footage.
Ending
So this
explained.
we're looking at the especially spooky Lake Mungo, following a family who suffers a tragedy when their daughter drowns. Soon after, they start experiencing inexplicable, potentially supernatural things in their home,
I
and
think
begin
I
unraveling
will
many surprising mysteries regarding Alice.
need to turn down the
Is extremely
graphics.
underrated, even though it does frequently
So,
show up on many scariest
let's
movies of
take a
all
break
times
for
lists,
now.
alongside other heavy hitters like The Exorcist
I'll
and
make you
Texas
kneel
Chainsaw Massacre. So maybe the question is, does this deserve to stand along with those other
lion
titans
never
of the genre? To me, absolutely.
matter
There's
how
a way
small
that this
its
film
prey.
really gets under your skin that is especially unsettling. It also stands out as being very unique amongst the sea of similar found footage concepts. Now, this actually isn't technically found footage, but more like a faux documentary. It's very committed to its naturalistic style, and I think that's a lot of what makes it so successful. It unfolds more like a true crime documentary than a typical horror movie. That is, until the possibilities of the supernatural start seeping in. It just feels very real. And again, I feel that really helps to sell the whole thing. It also winds up being a surprisingly complex overall experience, interweaving the difficulty of a family suddenly losing a loved one, just what happens after we die, as well as exploring the philosophical concept of the simulacrum. The actual story itself also does leave us with many questions, and we'll dive into all of that as well. So let's take a trip to Lake Mungo, breaking down the story and its surprising twists, along with the greater meaning of the movie, and explaining the ending that gives us one last surprise. Right out of the gate, there are several countering concepts at play. Over old spirit photography photos, which are known to be hoaxes nowadays, we hear the voice of a frightened Alice, saying she feels something bad is going to happen to her, as Alice's boyfriend dismisses the entire concept of ghosts, assuming it must be to help people deal with loss. But he doesn't understand why exactly. Her friend Kim reveals that no one knew the true Alice, as she was full of secrets. It was during a nice family trip to the dam where teenage Alice disappeared mysteriously. The authorities are dispatched, and the news reports on the missing girl and panicking family. Rescue divers are sent in to search the waters, but nothing turns up. From what her brother Matt can remember, the two were out swimming, and as the water was getting cold, he decided to head to shore. Alice did not join him, and a few minutes later his dad Russell asked about his sister. They looked out, noticing the water was eerily still, and they checked in the bushland behind the water as well. Matt noticed that her towel was left on the ground, meaning that she most likely never got out of the water, and that was the last time he saw her. In home video footage recorded that day, there appears to be nothing suspicious at all, and the family looks happy, having a great time. Inevitably, they are told to go home until something turns up in the search, and Mom remembers how strange it was driving home with an empty seat. She was there 1 minute, and then just gone. June's parents came to stay with them, and all they could do was wait for assumedly bad news. There seems to be some distance between the mother and daughter, June feeling it weird that she's here, and it didn't feel right. Over the night, Alice's phone went off a few times, but she never answered, and she remembered just how neat everything looked. Alice's friends were both in disbelief hearing the news, Jason even calling her phone, thinking that it had to be a joke. Kim was in shock as well, not thinking it could be real. She finds it odd, everything was the same as always, but she had drowned. Asking Russell what he recalls from that night, he knows that he left the porch light on, and leaves it on still, just in case, he chuckles. When asked why, he blubbers that she still might come home, seeing the pain and sadness in his face. It's the not knowing that he still struggles with. There's still that slim chance that this could all just go away. Though the writing is on the wall, when a police video on Christmas Eve shows divers discovering her body. Russell remembers getting a call, feeling that it was all very official and formal, him having to sign a form of identification identification for his daughter. June elected to stay in the car, which he thinks might have been a mistake, as she didn't get the same closure that he did.
That
But she
looks
said she couldn't
gross.
bring herself to see Alice that way, and didn't want to remember her in that state. Sometime later, the news covers her funeral, everyone gathering to pay their respects. Kim remembers Alice as a happy, fun-loving girl with a zest for life. Yet, as heartbreaking as all this might be, their friend Georgie laments that things were only going to get so much worse. 10 days after the funeral, Russell kept hearing noises around the house and from outside the windows, along with the door to Alice's room moving on its own. So he rehung the door and got a pest guy to check things out, but it didn't stop the strange occurrences from continuing. The door kept slamming, and the noises kept happening. Then June started having nightmares, including a recurring one featuring Alice. She would come down the hall, still dripping from the water, and just stand at the foot of the bed staring at them. She found this quite terrifying, and the nightmares only got worse, to the point that she would go on long walks late at night to avoid sleep as long as possible. Strangely, she would also randomly walk into people's houses, not with any ill intent, but just because she wanted to be inside someone else's life for a while. As for Russell, he dealt with things by diving into work. He did feel guilty, but he just wanted to get on with his life. According to his longtime co-worker Frederick, he never actually brought up what happened once, which he found to be a bit troubling. But he also knows people all grieve in their own ways, and it is not his place to tell him what to feel. Moving on will prove harder than he thought, as one night Russell has a seemingly supernatural encounter with his daughter. Hearing noises coming from a room, he says he found himself taking a seat there, and before he could work out why, she walked in and did some general stuff, not seeming to notice him. Then he made a noise of some kind, and she went rigid, him knowing now that she is aware he is there. She looked right into his eye for what felt like forever, and then shouted to get out. They asked Fred about what he saw, and he believes that he did see something, as Russ is not the kind of guy to make something like that up. So he believes he
Yeah,
definitely
probably
saw
like
something, whether it's a real ghost or something else entirely. Georgie had hoped to get them help from the church, but the Palmers aren't religious, so they couldn't really do much. Thanks, church. She becomes more worried about Matt in particular, as he spent so much time with his sister. Strangely, he discovered at one point that he had
actually I
unusual
can
bruises all
if
over
you
his
consider
body. The
streaming
doc tested
at
him for all
work.
kinds of stuff, but was unable to come to any real conclusion. Even stranger, several weeks later, all the bruises vanished without a trace. A bandmate of Matt's and his best friend Steve did notice that he became quieter after Alice, but nothing really set off any alarms. He did start pursuing his photography hobby with more passion, and even met up with a professional in the field, Clive. There he learned all kinds of stuff, from equipment to lighting and techniques, leading to Clive even offering him a job at the studio. We learned Matt has been doing a kind of series of photos over time, taking pictures of his backyard in the same spot every few months for the past several years. Then in one, he spotted something surprising. Amongst the same overall shot appears to be a ghostly Alice standing against the fence. They zoom in closer on her face, and for some reason, every time they do this gimmick, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Woo! It's creepy. The interviewer asks about the family's reaction to this development, and Matt wouldn't call the mood necessarily good, but it at least was better than before. They had hope for a change. There's more potential evidence discovered by a man who was down by the dam. It appears that he too caught a glimpse of Alice amongst the brush. June was especially floored by this, and there became enough reasonable doubt for her to start thinking Alice could possibly be alive. Russ, while admitting that he couldn't explain the pictures, knew something his wife didn't. He had seen Alice's body. There is no way she could be alive. But June became so convinced that even he started having doubts, thanks to the overwhelmingly compelling circumstances. This led to the family asking for Alice's body to be exhumed and a DNA test to be performed. So there is no question as to the body's identity. The test confirmed that it is indeed Alice's body, and after this, Russ came to realize just how much he wanted it to not be her, that he had made some kind of mistake. Anybody else, as long as it wasn't Alice. Well, so we know for sure that Alice is dead, but there's still the question of those pictures. Matt continued hearing noises at the house and decided to set up a camera to try to see anything. Then on the night of June 13th, he did catch something. A shadowy figure passes by the frame, and again we zoom in on the creepy dark visage. These strange events are enough for June to try to reach out for a different kind of help from from psychic consultant Ray. He explains most of what he actually does is dealing with the sick or dying and allowing them to think that death is not the bitter end. It's a consolation to give them, he says, and besides, we don't know what happens after we die. That's a big theme of the whole movie here, obviously. June acknowledges that public opinion on his authenticity is divided, but when meeting him, she liked him right away, sensing nothing fake or spooky about him. Ray records their meeting and kind of hypnotizes her to imagine herself outside of her house and describe what she sees. She enters the front door going towards Alice's room. He beckons her to enter the room, and she sees Alice sitting in a chair at the end of her bed, looking sad, she says. It's clear that June is the one pushing the psychic angle, and it was suggested by Ray to try a seance. Russell initially refused until Matt convinced him otherwise, and also suggested to film it. Ray does say he feels a strong presence in the house, but they ultimately didn't make any connections and called it quits after about an hour. Though when reviewing the footage, they discover another image of Alice there, right when Ray asks the presence to make itself known. For the skeptical Russell, this new footage is different than before. It's more detailed and less ambiguous, less impossible to dismiss as digital noise and shadow play. Even he is now convinced there is something inexplicable in their house. For Ray, this is unfamiliar territory, and he teams up with Matt to set up time-lapse cameras all around the house, on 24 hours a day. There was some speculation around town as to what Ray's intentions were with the family, but it was more about not knowing anything that led to more gossip. He defends himself as not out to make a quick buck, and honestly thought that he could help a struggling Matt in particular. It's not long before they seem to capture more haunting images around the house, spotting her in a mirror in a room, and then in another out in the hall. Before the family can even process these latest startling developments, things go into an unexpected, entirely new direction. As we remember the guy that caught Alice in a photo at the dam, it turns out there was also a dude out there with a video camera that day, wow, pretty busy at the dam, and he caught the same figure. But when he looked in closer, what was thought to be a female figure was neither a female or Alice, but in fact, actually Matthew. What? He brushes off the appearance. Yeah, he was wearing Alice's jacket and wandering around the bush. It's not strange at all. When his dad asked if he had done anything else, he spills that he had quite a hand in things up to this point. He basically faked everything we've been seeing regarding the spirit of Alice appearing, using classic spirit photo techniques to superimpose two images together. When it comes to the video, that is a bit more complicated. He set up old home video footage of Alice and recorded it in the mirror that helped to cover up the screen. So it was actually Alice, but her on a TV. Here we are seeing that same idea of the footage taking on new meaning. He's repurposing old home video footage and shooting it, creating something else entirely. So that is a pretty big surprise. I definitely remember watching this the first time and was pissed. I was like, what do you mean there's no ghost? They convinced me of that all the way up to this point, but now I realize that's the actual point. It's about how what we believe in an image can turn out later to be a lie. It's a definite manipulation from the filmmakers, and this is actually pushed even further as they even change the footage. The first time we see the spirit, it is definitely the actress that plays Alice there, and yet after the reveal of Matt being behind it, it is now him in her place. Pretty smart actually, and guess what? This is not the last time they pull a fast one on us. Although at least for now, anything supernatural seems to be off the table, though we still don't know what happened to Alice. Matt defends his actions, saying that he did not try to trick anyone, but thought that something is better than nothing, reminding us of that opening quote about people creating ghosts to give them a kind of hope. Again, death isn't really the end and all that. When asked if his actions made things worse for his mom, he admits that they probably did, but still says that wasn't his intention. Yeah, it did make them dig up his sister's body, but that only confirmed what was already pretty obvious. After this, the public eye turned to their curious case. However, they thought it was most important to protect Matt and the family, along with Alice's memories. And they do find it admittedly strange for something so personal to them being thrust into the world's view. June was devastated at finally having to let go of Alice, yet they also acknowledged that she would never actually admit to this, as there is a kind of guarded or private nature to June that seemed to carry over to Alice. Fred didn't think that they got along too well, but believes that it was actually because they were so similar. It became especially clear after Alice's death that they both shared a sense of privacy, even having private lives which they chose to share or not. It appears that this goes back even further in the family, as Iris, June's mom, admits that she had doubts as a mother. and felt that she was never able to fully give herself over to her kid. Well, sounds like that ended up rolling down the generations to Alice, and having those walls up did play some role in her untimely demise. Ray and Matt's friendship grows stronger as they pair up to do some consultations out on the road. It's only now that he realized just how much he missed Alice, and even in a way feels as though he's one of Ray's clients, wanting to make contact with someone lost. After they got the camera set up, after poring over it, they see what looks like Alice, but this time Matt wasn't around, so he could not have faked it, again casting doubt on what's really going on here. As a result, they went back through all of the old footage taken and noticed something new amongst the images, again re-examining the meaning of them entirely. They noticed a second figure, not Matthew, squatting in the dark in Alice's room. They realized that it was actually their neighbor Brett, wondering what the heck he was doing in their daughter's room 6 months after her death. Here we start peeling back a bit of the layers to that secret life of Alice alluded to. When June pilfers through her safe, there she finds a tape, and she knows that this must have been what Brett was looking for. She details how they met, Alice acting as a babysitter for their 2 younger boys, and then they understand what they have is a sex tape between her and the couple, and it doesn't appear that she is quite into it. Yikes, well, definitely got some secrets, eh, Alice? As for Russell, seeing this makes him feel in a way more complicit in her death, tying back to that privacy thing down the generations. If she hadn't felt the burden of that secret or felt so isolated, she would have been able to talk to them about it and potentially prevented this from ever happening. Alice's friends remembered Brett as being nice, and they used to swim there during the summer, which takes on a pretty gross connotation in retrospect. They were completely shocked once more about Alice, not even knowing she had been with somebody, let alone doing something like that. There is a kind of power in the tape, especially in her death. They must have been living in fear of being found out. They did get charges filed with the police, and the sergeant was confident that they would be found. Yet the leads dried up and the investigation stalled. So they are left with even more unanswered questions. Why was Alice involved? Was she in love with either of them? They will likely never know, as the family moves soon after Brett tried to ransack Alice's room. Kim considers the level of secrets Alice kept as though there were all these different versions of her, the one around her friends or around her mom, and on her own. She honestly feels that it changes her perspective on someone when you know that they've been hiding things like this. Naturally, that's only the tip of the iceberg for Alice's secrets. June coming across Ray's business card in her journal. Turns out she actually reached out to him 5 months before her death, having heard him on the local radio. Ray is asked why he didn't tell the family earlier, and he says that it wasn't about keeping a secret, but honoring client confidentiality. Besides, if he had told them right off the bat, he wouldn't have been able to help them now. Regardless of his defense on the matter, the family felt betrayed, especially because he failed to see Alice's imminent demise. I mean, you're a psychic, right? What the heck, dude? June continues reading from the diary and comes across an entry that has a strange parallel to her own nightmares regarding Alice. She describes waking up from a nightmare, but the feeling didn't go. She felt sick and confused and went to her parents in their room. When watching them sleep, she was overcome by sadness that turned to fear. She stood there motionless, paralyzed, realizing there was nothing that she could do anymore. She describes feeling so utterly alone and started thinking that something must be wrong with her. Again, this is a strange mirror of what June was describing earlier. Alice there is still wet and standing at the foot of the bed, starting to possibly imply something else entirely going on here, a kind of connection through dreams as well as across time. This becomes further established when June comes across Lake Mungo written in the diary, relaying that it was a school camping trip that Alice was on for a few days back in August. All that they can recall of her return was her saying she had a good time, but oddly she lost her mobile phone, favorite bracelet, and watch. And that was all they knew. That is brought into a whole new light when the kids divulge that they recorded some of that time on their camera phones. And yes, they do in fact have the dedication to film this entire chunk of the movie on absolute crap camera phones from 2006 or whatever.
I don't think I will be traveling anytime soon though.
Kim shoots them all drinking and everyone having a good time. That is, except for Alice, who's looking quite forlorn. This led June to get worried, convinced
Traveling right now
happened to her. Later that night, the girls spread out and they spot Alice in the footage down in the bottom of a frame, kneeling under a tree. Only only after several
I
viewings did they
might,
figure out she was burying something out there. Kim only knew that
travel
she had lost her phone and
after
was upset, but it
kidney
didn't seem too
transplant,
serious in the context at the
if
time.
that's
They
even
were all just
possible.
kids having a laugh. They see her walking off by herself, knowing something was distressing her. So the family saddles up to visit Lake Mungo themselves, knowing at least that she had buried something out there. And they do have some idea of where to look, having tracked down a tree from the video. After some digging, June unearths a plastic bag containing all of her missing items: the necklace, ring, watch, and mobile phone. The family is even more baffled. These are her most precious things, wondering why she would leave them out here. We then get another peek of Alice's session with Ray, asking if she's afraid of dying. She says of course she is, and it's here that she expresses her worry that something bad is going to happen. It hasn't reached her yet,
I
but
wouldn't
it's
be
on its
so
way and getting
confident.
closer. After charging Alice's phone, they witness the final chilling moments recorded out in Lake Mungo. She comes across a frightening figure that steps out towards her out of the darkness. Russell is immediately able to recognize the face, that of which he ID'd at the dam. The waterlogged Alice lunges at her, sending her phone reeling. Yeah, guess what? Once more, everything we understood is put into question. After that supernatural tease earlier, there is no denying what we're seeing here. It's as though Alice encountered a vision of her own impending death, and her actions since then have been a result of knowing that her death is looming, but not knowing when, frantically reacting in a way to try to understand what's happening. However, both sides of the argument are still presented with the Palmers. June doesn't see any rational explanation for the footage, and she fully believes Alice knew that she was going to die. She thinks the burying of her stuff was a kind of ritual in response to seeing that figure, a kind of omen for her. Russell, however, doesn't see things the same way. While he agrees that everyone has morbid thoughts, he still doesn't think that Alice knew she was going to die. Matt, too, believes she recorded a legitimate ghost, a recording of her grim future coming to get her. This reminds us of the kind of dream connection between June and Alice, a moment existing simultaneously across time. It's important to consider just what Lake Mungo is, tied to 40,000 years of native history, along with our own current situation, which is being represented on that of a cell phone camera. It's a collision of so many different things occurring at once that it does stand to reason that this is what allows Alice to see her own future self. Unlike before with Matt's goof, here it feels like they do go out of their way in the story to show the seemingly impossible is actually occurring out at Lake Mungo. This has a profound impact on the family, feeling their house was different when returning, more calm than before. They think that Alice perhaps just wanted to show them more about her true self so she could move on. After some time, they started feeling like a real family again. Sure, shaky and wounded, but a family once more all the same. The healing continues when they decide to bury the hatchet with Ray, each feeling a kind of closure or sense of peace to a degree. They also do acknowledge all their actions didn't actually help Alice or change anything. It's as though they collectively all agreed that it was simply time to move forward and also literally move out of the house to really reiterate that fresh start. Even June knows that it will be difficult, but she is finally starting to forget that Alice isn't coming back. Yet things aren't so cut and dry as they think, leading to more of the supernatural time is interconnected thing. In an extremely eerie sequence, we flash back and forth between one final session with June and Ray, sometime after the previous one, and that of the session with her daughter months before her death. And it starts sounding like once more they are tied together in a way. They both enter the house, and June enters Alice's room. Unlike before, Alice sees her mom and doesn't say anything, as though she can't see her. A twist on that earlier encounter with her dad. As for June, she doesn't see Alice, and she leaves the room. Now, June clomps around the empty house as Alice continues, saying that her mom is leaving the room, watching them pack up and drive off. This makes it seem that Alice in the past is kind of seeing this occurring now with her family leaving for good. Alice cries that they're gone now, and we re-examine the family photo from the opening. Once more, we zoom into unseen things in the background, spotting Alice looming in the house's window. We are then represented with more footage we've already seen, but is now given a whole new meaning. As we see throughout the entirety of everything, Alice's spirit was actually there at many moments throughout. No trickery from Matt or anything like that. It really does look like after the topsy-turvy experience and surprising rug pulls that Alice's spirit was actually lingering in the house, and there are supernatural activities afoot. What's even more interesting to me though is that the family has been so desperate for a way to contact Alice. Ultimately, she was there right in front of them as seen in the various images, but at this point they seem to have all moved on. gone and kind of don't care anymore. The collective decision to move on, as they phrased it, they had grieved as much as they could and had to let go. This is one very important layer to the movie. It's a representation of how a family reacts when they unexpectedly lose a loved one. They hold on to every kernel of hope, an ounce of doubt that somehow Alice isn't really gone. Matt taking things really far with that fake ghost thing, all in the name of somehow providing them with the hope she could still be alive. Then of course there's all the loose ends and questions left about someone after they pass, things you will never know. After their exhaustive search for answers, ultimately none of what they do is able to help Alice, as they point out. It's more about the family going through their stages of grief, and after everything they experience, they can finally let go and move on. The ghost here then more represents Alice's lingering memories. There is, in a way, a part of her that will always be tied to the house and the years that they spent there. It's never really gone for good. When it comes to ghosty things and what have you, there is still some debate within the family about Alice's vision out at Lake Mungo. The ending really seals the deal that not only did she see a future of her own death, but also that her spirit is still at the house. As is considered throughout, no one knows what happened after we die. And that's what makes death scary to so many. They only see it as the end. But we know with Alice that isn't the case after all. There is at least some kind of afterlife presented, which makes it kind of a bummer she has to spend it all alone without her family. Ah well, probably healthier to move on than things turning into a predictable, wacky ghost family situation. Then there's the even more broader meaning and motivation behind the movie, the aforementioned simulacrum concept. It all stems from a Greek word meaning likeness or semblance, and is defined as a representation or imitation of a person or thing. Any work of art or movie could technically classify into this category because it is an imitation, a false reality up on screen. With Lake Mungo, it is presented to us as a very realistic documentary, attempting to convince us as the audience that it is real. This is a real case that actually happened. That's the entire intention of the movie. There's actually two kinds of simulacra that the movie plays with. The first is all about creating a faithful reproduction or precise copy of the original, in this case trying to be as real as possible. Conversely, there's also intentionally distorting something in order to make the copy appear correct to viewers. As the idea developed over many years, it evolved that simulacrum is not simply a copy of the real, but actually becomes truth in its own right. The hyper-real. Thanks, Wikipedia. That's where the various twists and narrative rug pulls come into play. It's all essentially about tricking the viewer into believing one thing through what we see, only to completely change the meaning through some development later. The truth changes even with the same footage. The story does this constantly, always toying with us about what we believe is really going on, and even at the end it's one more big rug pull and it makes us completely re-examine everything we've seen up to that point. It also seems that the family doesn't actually see these many other sightings of Alice. It's in fact us as the viewer, or thanks to whoever is making the documentary we're watching. It's a very interesting game the movie plays with regarding all of this, and I really think it takes the movie to an even more intellectual and interesting level. That brings us to the conclusion of this Ending Explained for Lake Mungo. And don't forget, before we go, you can send me requests for any movies or TV shows you'd like to see me explain by sending them my way on any of my social media accounts at FoundFlix. What do you think of Lake Mungo and its ending? Do you have a different interpretation than me about everything that goes down? And what do you think are the scariest movies of all time? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to FoundFlix. On this Ending Explained, we're looking at the Cleansing Hour, following two entrepreneurs that run a webcast that streams live exorcisms that are in fact elaborately staged hoaxes. And on their latest episode, they get more than they bargained for when one of their girlfriends becomes possessed by a demon. This one is just a lot of fun, a kind of modern take on an exorcism flick, now utilizing the web broadcast angle that works quite well. As the story develops into many twists and turns, it stays entertaining and exciting throughout, despite obviously being fairly low budget. A big reason why it works is thanks to the acting. The main trio are all perfect for their parts, but in particular, Alex and Jealous.
I'll make you kneel before me. I won't lose.
Most viewers will get lost in it. Yeah, probably.
Focus.
This is it.
Let's do this together.
Wait! Oh,
Leave it to me.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down!
Hmm.
I won't fall.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
What should I do?
I'll finish him. Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future.
The time has come.
Waiting for me.
Hmm.
Light, grant me power. Oh,
I've got this.
a lion never relaxes. No matter how small its prey. Come on, baby. Don't worry.
I'll make you kneel before me.
I love it. That's good. Let me go get my food. Be right back.
I've been bringing to you
Don't worry.
I'll make you kneel before me.
I won't lose.
To someone like you. Not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. This is it.
A lion never runs.
Okay.
No matter how small its prey.
Hi, Baka-chan. How are you? Thanks for the heart. What's on the menu today? Chicken pieces. Fried chicken pieces with veggie and rice.
The time has come.
I've been ordering this quite often, I realize.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started.
I'll put an end to this.
Some of the sweetest meat found in the Caribbean is inside this crab.
Let's
like it's got two
look
big
at
claws.
food video.
Our Caribbean
Yeah, I
culinary
really
adventure
like the
continues
chicken
here on the
pieces.
island of Jamaica.
What are you gonna make from this?
I'm going to make a dish. Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. Let's get going.
Last time, we went on a cross-country jerk tour, cooking an entire pig underground.
Oh yeah, that pops.
Today, we're telling 3 different stories of seafood in Jamaica.
You're gonna attempt to fry this whole tuna.
That's right.
From the rare creatures caught and cooked in local villages,
I saw one fisherman come in. He had a puffer fish. Those are poisonous.
No.
No?
No.
to preparing and eating the Caribbean's most venomous fish.
Beautiful fish, but if you get stuck by one of those sharp barbs, you're in for a bad day.
It all starts here. Matt and I are starting the day in a small village tucked away on the edge of Montego Bay. Greeting us here, Jackie.
Put her there?
Yeah, man.
Where are we right now?
We are on the Grange Pen Fisherman Beach.
Grange Pen is one among hundreds of fishing villages dotting Jamaica's coastline. Villages like this are made up of modest houses built with wood and sheet metal.
And they kind of have to live here because they're right next to the water. They can jump in their boat, they go out, they fish.
I was born to be a hero.
With their self-constructed boats and locally made gear, fishermen here leave for the ocean at the crack of dawn, and they return when the sun is up and the tide is low.
Is there any type of fish that if you catch it, you throw it out?
Stingray is dangerous to the pot, you know, so we wouldn't left him inside it. But as a keeper, they say it's Viagra.
So why don't you want to catch it more?
A successful catch looks like a boat full of snappers, groupers, jackfish, doctor's fish, and barracudas. Solo fishing like this makes up 95% of the Jamaican fishing industry.
I saw one fisherman come in. He had a puffer fish. Those are poisonous.
No.
No?
No.
Someone like you.
According to National Geographic, Wikipedia, and the Japanese chef who once prepared fugu for me, the pufferfish contains tetrodotoxin, which is 1,200 times more poisonous than cyanide.
You've eaten that fish?
Like sometimes, not all the time.
But you never felt anything? Like your face numb? Like you had a stroke? No.
fishermen know certain type of fish. Like you have a big head and a small body, we don't touch it.
I'm like that on Tinder. Big head, small body, no. Encouraged by Jackie's confidence, Matt and I decided to take a bite of pufferfish, freshly caught and grilled on the spot. That was until I saw how they prepared it.
I gotta say, I've lost my nerve. Can't do it.
Come to think about it, the gentleman in Japan did have a certificate on his restaurant wall and...
I mean, does anyone in this village have a special certificate to prepare fugu in a way that's not gonna kill anybody?
They've been cooking it for longer than sushi chefs, but they don't have a certificate.
So you feel comfortable?
I feel okay.
Yeah, exactly. Here, these were looking a lot more tropical a little bit ago.
These are doctor fish.
Why are they called that?
Because them say that them good for you. That's all I can give you.
Is that right?
In the belief that seafood tastes best in its natural form with its natural flavors, the preferred preparation here is straightforward. Gut, roast, done.
Let me get to what we call a plate.
Oh, thanks. I'll take a plate.
I go from right here, right under the belly there, and I just tear across. So once you tear across, all of that white meat comes out.
Oh, so I'm just gonna toss it in my mouth right away. Yeah, no seasoning at all. It's just warm, soft, fishy, natural flavors of the ocean, stretchy, chewy skin.
And a little crunch as well.
That's nice.
Perfectly seasoned by the Caribbean.
This is like survival cooking. Cooking at its most basic form. Just grab the fish, scale it, gut it, throw it on a fire. It's still pretty good.
That was just an appetizer, leading up to this. This is a Caribbean king crab. These crabs are efficient cleaners of coral reefs, thanks to their diet based on algae. With that in mind, fishermen plant these crabs around their fishing spots to create a better environment for other species to spawn. Once these cleaners grow fat, it's their turn to become part of the life cycle.
Usually, you're gonna see a big crab like this steamed up or put in a pot of boiling water, but here, it's gonna be grilled. We're cooking it on a tire rib. I've never seen it done this way. It's midway through cooking right now. All right, give it a little bit of a flip. All right, good flip. It's kind of just bubbling and boiling in its own shell at this point, and they wait for it to stop boiling. As soon as that's done, we know the meat is done. It's time to crack it open and see what's inside. I'm not sure where to start. Legs?
Legs.
Oh, dude, hey, look at this. We don't have anything to crush it with.
We do. It's in Jamaica. We always have a red stripe on it.
Oh.
If we're not drinking it, we're using it. You have a good beat going, man. You have a reggae in you. You have some reggae in you, man.
No, there's tons of shattered shell in there. I really f***ed this up. What? It's like when you're trying to open a hard-boiled egg and it just keeps shattering into pieces and not actually opening. There's gonna be no crab left.
Get it? There you go.
So much meat.
All that work.
It's so voluminous, I can hardly handle this whole bite. I think I tasted something. It was very small. Now, the claws have to have something inside. I'm looking for just the bite of all bites.
We have to just take our time. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go.
Oh, that's so solid. You got a huge piece.
That.
Oh, this is perfect. My hand is clean, and I'm just gonna put it on my clean hand. The meat, it's like a dry desert. Like all these separate little muscle fibers, and in between there's delicious crabby juice. What have you done? Well done. Is there still a tendon in the middle?
No, I took the tendon out.
Oh, dude, this could be the best bite in the world. Should we feed each other?
I don't think we can do that, but... Yo,
best bite ever. It tastes buttery.
Its own juices just make it sweet and brings together that meat perfectly.
If this crab was alive right now, it would be blushing. Guys!
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's dead. I've had so many different species. I gotta say, it's probably the top. A lot of crab is good. It's good in general. It's got a bit of sweetness or a bit of like briny seafoodiness to it. This is completely different. An incredible texture. With every bite you take, you can feel the juices rushing out of the meat. And then it's just naturally sweet, but also just buttery. Almost like an oil, natural oil that's coming from the crab meat. Maybe cooking it the way he's cooked it keeps the oils in the meat, because when you boil it, you always see this like white pasty stuff around the meat. Well, that's all the fat that's boiled out of the protein.
Exactly, and to me, when you boil it, you bring the flavor out. When you steam it or you cook it like this, the flavor stays in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seafood Story 1 complete. In our next chapter, we'll see a chef take on a seafood challenge of epic proportions. A record-breaking attempt like you've never seen before.
Chef? Put her there. Pleasure to be here.
Great.
Respect.
Every time. Life is beautiful.
Chef Jeff is the founder and head of Spirits. His menu is packed with palate-pleasing local seafood. But today, we're going off menu.
I want to talk about what we're eating today, right here.
That bad boy.
This is a 30-pound yellowfin tuna.
A whole yellowfin tuna. I don't even... Should I do an interview from here? Can you see me?
Getting your hands on a tuna like this in Jamaica is a real treat for local chefs. So, Jeff's plan for today, he's gonna fry it whole.
Have you ever fried a fish this big before?
No, it's the first time I'm going to attempt.
What's your strategy?
Yes, first, and once you do that, it open up each layer to the oil. So you get that hot that's penetrate through the fish, the bone, the meat.
So that's gonna be a lot of cuts. Is it gonna even be recognizable? If the family came here before it went into an autopsy, could they pull back the sheet and identify this as a family member?
No.
No, okay.
For a fish this huge, they must construct a pan big enough to suit its mighty girth.
This sounds like an incredible journey, something that's never been done before in this kitchen.
Never.
With big risk comes big reward and great responsibility. I think I fucked that up.
While the oil tub slowly reaches the required temperature, the chef rubs the fish with a blend of seasonings, making sure they reach every deep crevice. Then, like Ted Bundy, it's ready to fry.
You ready?
That's right.
They've got two of these fryer tools. They're gonna bring it over to the oil and lower it in, descending slowly. And we just have to hope. Oh my God, and it's crackling. So far, so good. It's not like those videos, like when they cook a turkey for Thanksgiving and it starts on fire. I'm bravely watching what's happening from a safe distance. He's slowly easing the fish down into the oil. He doesn't want to do it too much. Yes, it's in, it's fully in, it's submerged. Oh, this looks awesome. Is it working?
Yes.
How do you feel? Is this what you expected?
Yes. So now I'm going to get my spoon. So what happened, I just want this side to start cooking. So once we turn it, the cooking process already started, so it will be much easier.
Wow, this is a huge tuna. The cuts look perfect. They look clean. It's like every little cut on there is its own tuna fillet or tuna steak. You feel happy?
I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy.
We're on the right track.
Add black pepper, Scotch bonnet pepper, and garlic to the oil to enhance the flavor of the oil itself. Then, the moment finally comes. One of the most epic flips in seafood history.
It's super hard to flip because it's so big, and right now some of the skin is peeling off a little bit, but I think they're managing pretty good. It's just gonna get one flip. That's it. This is the final flip. Chef, are you happy with the flip?
I'm so happy.
Perfect flip time.
Perfect. And I'm just looking at the nice texture.
Oh my gosh, the whole thing is in here. The eyes, the face, we can eat all of it, right?
That's right. I enjoy the head.
Yeah, head meat.
Yeah.
Leave the fish to fry for another 5 to 6 minutes and keep adding hot oil to the top like you're basting a turkey. When the fish is visually crisp, it's ready to leave.
All right, this is the most delicate part of the process. Now it is fried. It's so easy for the fish to fall apart. Grabbing the whole thing, it's gonna go on a platter right next to it. Boom, right down on the checkered platter. And that is in one solid piece. Oh, chef, wow. Look at this.
Fantastic job.
It looks properly roasted all the way through. There's enough tuna steaks on here to feed a whole village. And soon, I'm gonna be trying this out myself. I'm so excited, Chef, you've outdone yourself. Well done.
And well done to you, too.
What did I do?
Look at you, holding the fish.
Hey, yeah, look at me.
Dress it up with spicy pickled veggies and bammy whammy. All that's left to do is to dig in.
Oh, it's still plenty hot.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Look at that, it's a whole tuna steak. There's a little different textures all over this thing. Some parts are really crisped up and some are a little bit more steamy. It's so crunchy, meaty. The skin and all the outside here has just been completely coated and lined with seasoning. So it's warm, it's savory, it's salty. Oh my Lord. All right, I'm ripping out this tail piece. Obviously it's a lot more narrow, so probably cooked a lot faster. And you can see the beautiful crisp right here. Super crispy.
The tail usually have a little darker note to it than the white meat of the belly, especially with the tuna.
Here's what I'm really curious about. Did the body cook all the way through? I'm pulling out of this whole big slice. Yeah. So that is almost all the way cooked through. Some sashimi in the middle here. And then just right nearby, some nice fried tuna. very tender. There's so many experiences in one fish. The head, there's a lot of treasured parts in here. First is the cheek. I've been told by many fish head lovers that this is the best bite of the whole tuna right here. It is super fatty, mixed with protein, and then a nice crunchy exterior here.
Oh yeah, a lot more fatty. I feel it.
In
And
your
I
fingers,
taste
right?
it.
Like
Yeah, man.
oily.
Oily.
But the whole head, there was so much meat and so many different holes and crevices and places where you could reach in and grab meat and pull it out. Tuna tongue.
Is that a delicacy?
Not that popular. I'm gonna put that there. So
look
this
at
is the
that.
top of the head.
Yeah, man.
An insane amount of meat on here. You can see even the grain, the way the meat is growing here is gorgeous.
Oh, look
this
at
is just
that.
like the tenderloin. This is the back of the
Tenderloin
neck.
with some crunch on it.
Try some of that.
I would love that. Thank you, my friend.
This is one of the most unique seafood experiences I've ever had. I mean, anybody can fry a fish or fry a tuna, but when it's at this scale, you can see the difference. From the head, from the tail, from a little bit of sashimi inside that may not have been intentional.
Compliments to the chef. He outdid himself creating this masterpiece, and the size alone, son. You know when you come to Jamaica, size matters.
Our final chapter brings back an element of danger. No, not the puffer fish.
This would be even worse. It's pain. It goes right to your neurotox. It's a bad day.
That was really bad day.
This danger of the deep is waiting for me here.
So Fearon is a family-owned business. We've been here 35 years. You come here, you feel like you're on a boat and you're getting fresh seafood straight from the Caribbean Sea. Locals come, tourists come. Every animal in the jungle kind of comes to Pier 1.
Greeting us today, Jason, owner of Pier 1.
What are some of the more popular seafoods in Jamaica?
Well, lobster is always number one, and the red snapper is a close second, of course. And we're going to try something today that's a little bit different.
So we're trying something that's not really native to this area.
No, no.
This is the lionfish.
Yes.
Coming from the tropical waters of the South Pacific and Indian Oceans, this beauty is the star of many aquariums. But around Florida and the Caribbean, it's an absolute terror. The lionfish is believed to have escaped, or even more likely, to have been released into Florida waters from an aquarium over 2 decades ago.
They're very aggressive, and they feed on young fish on the reef, and once they come off, the reef is basically dead.
In an effort to reduce the number of lionfish, the Jamaican government encourages its consumption.
But it's very difficult to catch. You have to handle them with a lot of caution, because even dead, even in this state, if one of those barbs were to stick you, you would be in for a bad night.
20 minutes for the puffer fish?
Yeah.
This would be even worse. It's pain. It goes right to your neurotox. It's a bad day.
All right, I'm gonna gently put the plate down behind you and just don't back up too much.
Despite its bad reputation, when it comes to flavor, this bad boy is highly rated among seafood lovers. But before you dig in, you must carefully remove the fish's venomous spikes.
It cooks anyway. It's a nice fish. It can be escovitch, fried, steamed, roasted.
What should we do today?
Let's do a nice steamed fish.
Next, score the fish and season it with salt and pepper. Then stuff some thyme, onion, garlic, and scotch bonnet into its nooks and crannies. Heat it in a pan with olive oil. Sprinkle some bell pepper and scallions on top. Pour in a cup of water and let it steam until it's ready to eat.
Let's take a little tour of the plate. It looks like we got some pressed plantains that have been fried. And what's this?
This is rice and peas. Rice and peas is everywhere throughout Jamaica. It's one of our most loved dishes. Some people cook it with coconut milk, and it has fresh herbs and spices in there.
Oh, it's very flavorful. I love it. This is broccoli. Do we need to discuss?
I don't even want to see that.
All right, here it is, the lionfish. It's in the shape of the fish without all its fancy weapons.
Yeah, they had to snip all of that off so we can actually consume it.
Where are your needles now, bitch?
Right?
Gone. It is still pretty bony.
That's a flap. Remember how we got piece of the cheek from the tuna? This has meat under there that should be right under there as well.
Right. So in the fin pit, there's a nice, big, beautiful chunk of white, oily meat. It is so good. The only hard part about this is discerning flavor of the fish and the flavors that they've added on here, which are quite delicious. It's like a thick, salty, savory gravy.
It's one of my favorite fish. In the past 10 years, they've taken over the reefs, but since then, I've learned to love it, and I absolutely can't get enough of it.
How do you think we can get more people to jump in on this?
By watching your video.
Okay. Here, the body. This is gorgeous. Look at this meat. It's so soft, tender, it's juicy, but it's not like mushy.
No, it still holds firm.
Oh, the taste It is so good.
The flakiness and the meatiness of this is similar to parrot. A lot of people in Jamaica eat parrotfish, which helps to build the reef. I mean, it eats the reef and it passes sand, so it helps with the reef building. These just eat the reef. So what we're trying to do is also get people to stop eating as much parrotfish and eat more lionfish.
If this fish became extremely popular, demand would go super high, supply would go low, prices would go up. Wait, is that good? Hold on, what's my point? Demand would go up, supply would go down, prices would go up. People would be more motivated to go out and catch these kind of fish because they know they're gonna make big money off it. They're like, why would I get tuna or some of these species that are going near extinction? Everybody, we have to work together on this one. If you can all dial right now, 1-800-EAT-LION. It's not a real phone number. I don't know, I was just on a roll. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's very good. You better eat it.
Best Ever Food Review Show is a small team of independent creators, and everything we do here works because of you guys. Click the link in our description to join our Patreon and receive exclusive benefits. A peace. All right, I'm taking this out. That's tendons. If you want to eat the tendons, some people love the tendons.
I didn't know people love the tendons.
No, it's not true. I made that up. This sounds like an incredible journey, an adventure, something that's never been done before in this kitchen. Maybe even in this state. Quite possibly in the whole of Jamaica. Perhaps in the whole Caribbean. I'll stop.
Don't stop, please go.
Maybe in all of North America, perhaps the world, maybe even the universe. It's one of the most beautiful, exotic, tropical fish species there are. And I believe it was featured in
Deuce Bigelow.
Deuce Bigelow.
We are their natural predator today.
Yeah, man, the ultimate predator. And women. Women can be predators too,
me too.
right?
Of course.
Paper straw. There you go. So now those turtles, it's not getting in their nose. They can use it to write a shopping list. Here's my final plea. Vegans, I understand you don't want to eat animals because they have feelings or whatever. These animals suck. They're like the Stalin of fish. Don't eat the cows or the dogs or the birds. They're cool. Lionfish suck. Gosh, we had a lot of fun seafood.
Yeah, man, we had a great time. What I experienced with that seafood.
We almost ate poisonous fish. We
did eat poisonous fish too.
Oh yeah, at the end we ate venomous fish. I want to say a huge thank you to my good dude, Matt, Jamaica Food Boss. Matt has his own channel on YouTube, Jamaica Food Boss. Go there, subscribe, and watch his fun food videos. There's so much more to learn about Jamaican food through his videos. Go there, subscribe, and enjoy. Guys, thank you so much for watching. That is it for this one. I'm gonna see you next time.
Please. Vegans, please help.
We need the vegans. I mean, if we could all just unite,
They
I
would
think
just
we have
eat
one
the
thing in
lionfish,
common.
man.
Like we
Like-
want to save the reefs, right?
Yeah.
Do vegans like reefs?
Do they not love Jamaica?
Do they?
We need their help.
Absolutely.
Focus.
A lion never relents. No matter how small its prey.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Guiding light. Illuminate the unknown.
The time has come. I've got this. Give all that you have for the glory of Portland. I'll make you kneel before me. I won't lose. To someone like you.
Excuse me.
This is it. Let's do this together.
Waiting for me.
The time has come. I'll finish him.
Oh, shall I? I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Can you even reach me? I'll put an end to this. Ultimate! Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. Focus.
Don't worry.
I won't fall. Target confirmed.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started. This is getting exciting. You're not half bad. Yeah.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Fight. Grant me power.
This is it.
Wait. A lion never relents. No matter how small its prey.
Bye.
Give all that you have for the glory of Perlin. I'll make you kneel before me. I'll put an end to this. Ultimate.
What are you doing? Don't worry.
The time has come.
Waiting for me.
Yeah, it is. Excuse me.
This is getting exciting. You're not half bad.
It will be very.
Wait.
It will be very, very low.
Don't worry.
If they just do the story and nothing else, it's going to be a very low attack. And they would be really unbroken most of the time.
I won't lose to someone like you. Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. This is it.
And they will be useless in
I'll make you kneel.
Ancient Inheritance. Because no kid will want them. In the first place.
I'll put an end to this. Ultimate.
Guiding light. Illuminate
Yeah, it's not going to be possible.
The time has come.
Wait. I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down. Exhausted already? I'm just getting started.
Are you ready? Leave it to me. Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I won't.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, if you never grind at all, I wouldn't have that to invite you into the equipped space. It'd be so embarrassing. The game is so fun. Why wouldn't you cry? Mm.
Why don't you test your luck? Come back soon.
Hero. Hmm? Okay. Thanks for the follow. D4 exit Chan. Korean gonna stay here. Yeah, even grinding can be fun. Hmm.
Give all that you have for the glory of Perland. Can you even reach me?
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Focus.
Waiting for me. What? This is getting exciting. You're not half bad.
Hey. I love looking at ML Samia's butt. The ties are just so nice.
I'll make you kneel before me.
I won't lose. To someone like you.
Scar those in our way with
Yeah, she has a very nice butt.
focus.
It has nothing to do with design.
Can you even reach me?
What should I do? I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
You're being basic.
Let me assist. The time
Right.
has come.
Waiting for me? Guiding light, illuminate the unknown.
This is it.
Shall I? A lion never relents. No matter how small
Go,
its
send me
prey.
as back. And it's powerful. That's the most important thing. Hmm.
Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I won't. I'll put an end to this. Ultimate.
Oh, ta-da! Go.
I'll finish him. Focus.
Don't worry.
The time has come.
Shall I? I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
I'll make you kneel before me. I won't lose to someone like you.
Ooh.
Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. This is it.
Waiting for me?
Can you even reach me?
Light, grant me power.
The time has come.
Shall I? This is getting exciting. You're not half bad. What are you doing?
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Okay. Get one unit.
Give all that you have for the glory of Ireland.
Actually, if you get
I'll make you kneel
cubes
before
that
me.
you already have that are 5-star, you can use them for to upgrade them,
Come on,
which is a good thing.
Focus.
wait.
This is it.
Don't worry.
You put over 7 seats. That's good. See, it's a strong unit. You can use that to upgrade the 5-star.
No matter how small its prey.
I want more Samia.
Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. The time has come. I've got this. put an end to this. Ultimate! Can you
But you have already attacked his abilities. Katuja. Although Katuja sucks.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started.
This is it.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down. Guiding light, illuminate the unknown. This is getting exciting. You're not half bad.
Bye. Yeah, that is good. 2A wins.
Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I'll make you kneel before me. I won't lose. To someone like you.
What should I do? Go.
Leave it to me. Focus.
Shall I? A lion never relents. No matter how small its prey.
The time has come. I'll finish him.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at her story, you understand why.
I won't fall. Here I go. My most powerful strike. Give all that you have for the glory of Perlin. This is it. I've got this.
Oh.
Oh.
Can you even reach me?
What are you doing? Wait!
Focus.
Don't worry.
I'll put an end to this. Ultimate!
Light, grant me power.
The time has come.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Die.
Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. I'll make you kneel before me.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started.
This is it. I've got this.
I need a lot more of the story. Putting a lot of the business back to the neighbor. Nice. I don't have Spectre Tenebra because I chose
Seizing victory is seizing the future.
well.
I won't fall. I won't lose. To
But that happens.
Focus.
Wait!
The time has come.
Don't worry. This is getting exciting. You're not half bad. Yeah.
You pick up it like that.
Can you even reach me?
Yeah.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Spectre Libra is better than RB though. At least in my
All
opinion.
that you have for the glory of Perlin. This is it.
Waiting for me.
Let's do this together. Let me assist.
Guiding light. Illuminate the unknown.
I'll make you kneel before me.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Yeah, his rescue is powerful. He rests and then he uses his ultimate.
Grant me power.
The time has come.
Wait! A lion never relents. No matter how small its prey.
Oh. What's that? Fantastic. I am choosing only penguins when I'm looking for hunts.
I'll put an end to this. Ultimate.
What should I do?
Leave it to me.
Go.
Let me assist. Focus.
I have so many warriors. It's not funny. That is why I
The time
focus on being on my warrior level in ancient inheritance.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Can you even reach me? I won't lose to someone like you. Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. This is it. I've got this.
Yeah, I need more catalysts. Same here. It's such a pain grinding for catalysts.
I won't fall.
But it has to be done.
This is getting exciting. You're not half bad. Guiding light. Illuminate the unknown.
Focus. not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. I'll make you kneel before me.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
The time has come. This is it.
Takes time. So very gentle. Can't be hurried.
I'll finish him.
Can you even reach me?
I'll put an end to this.
At least I am improving. Nowadays.
Give all that you have for the glory of Perland.
As long as they are not a very strong dude,
I was born to be a hero.
I can help out some.
Destiny, I will cut you down.
I guess I can also change the composition of my defense team soon.
What should I do?
Let me assist. This is it. Target confirmed.
Fight. Grant me power.
The time has
I
come.
am in a hurry.
A lion never relents.
I think it's fine.
Small its
We
prey.
are doing quite well right now.
I won't lose. To someone like you.
Exhausted already? I'm just getting started. Oh,
Leave it to me.
I was born to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Scar those in our way with destruction and fear. I'll make you kneel before me.
Here I
Where's
go.
the Earth Director?
My most powerful strike.
Is it? You can summon from. I think it's something you can use to summon Earth characters.
What should I do?
think so.
This is it.
This is getting exciting. You're not half bad.
Can you even reach me?
I'll put an end to this. Ultimate!
Do not fear death. Seizing victory is seizing the future. The time has come.
Waiting for me?
I'll make you kneel before me.
to be a hero. By my destiny, I will cut you down.
Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Light, grant me power.
Give all that you have for the glory of Perlin. I won't fall. I won't lose to someone like you.
Go. Don't worry.
This is it.
Shall I? Oh.
I'll finish him. The time has come.
What should I do? Waiting for me? A lion.
Let's read the super chat.
No matter how small its
I'm
prey.
falling asleep. So let's read the super chat before I pause.
Can you even reach me? Here I go. My most powerful strike.
Thanks for the read message. Sorry, guys.
Scar those in our way with destruction and fear.
And
Focus.
right now. Yeah, I will.
Guiding light. Illuminate the unknown.
I'll make you kneel before me.
Welcome in. Welcome in, Raiders. The zombie. Hold on, let me cancel this real quick. I was just ending. But thank you for the raid. How was just chatting? Were you playing a game? But Nozomi, how have you been? Like how are you well? Are you doing good? Dragon, you just raiding Dosudo? I was just raiding. I was just raiding Candy. Yeah, but welcome in, Raiders. I am your favorite octopus streamer. Don't call me a squid. Call me a squid. I'm gonna feed you to Dorita. But variety streamer playing Metal Gear. Mechwarrior 5? Sheesh. Octosudo. Not edible. Not edible. These Doritos that I hand myself, very edible. But me, not so much. If you wanted a little taste of what kind of gen I am, D-gen is the answer. Look at my waifu. Look at my waifu right here. She's very cute, huh? But she refuses to wear clothes, so I always gotta cover her up. So she goes away. And I sometimes play the guitar, and sometimes draw and stuff, so yeah. I guess I'm doing alright. That's good. That's good. I hope you are doing well. And I hope the streams have been going well too. I haven't been able to go on as much. I've been working too much at school, and then Elden Ring came out and sucked up my life like it's nobody's business. Elden Ring has completely destroyed any form of schedule that I had, because I have no self-control whatsoever. But I'm sorry that I have to end it here. Of course you blame Elden Ring. Yes, of course. Yes, the game's so fucking good. I'm gonna go back to it now as we speak. So if you guys want to like hear about Elden Ring or don't care for spoilers, I guess maybe I'll stream it on Discord. I'll see. I'll have it up, but I'm very far into the game, so I've been avoiding spoiling it for anybody. But yeah, we're gonna go raid Candy Fart Senpai. Candy Art Senpai is her actual name, but Fart is funny, haha. Imagine.